There's been so many slip-ups over the months, it's unreal. This story that AYUB's telling us about inside the Airbnb never happened. Asking for the charger, giving him the blanket, giving him the towel, it never happened. Firstly, we didn't even know it was your house. Your house. So the Airbnb is your house.
I've got Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off, mate.
Oh, wow. I've got pictures of Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off because you were the person that took the picture of Jay in the back of the car. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with another interesting Jay Slater video. I'm going to finish off this podcast, this Mark Williams Thomas podcast. I've also made contact with someone that released information earlier on in the Jay Slater case. Someone who had CCTV footage. That footage was confiscated. That footage hasn't been spoken about ever since. I got in contact with that person to verify whether this footage was true. And ladies and gentlemen, they confirmed it was true. They had footage, and that footage involved Jay Slater. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will do a further video going into a bit more information about what's been said, as well as potential evidence that can prove something sinister happened to Jay that has been confiscated and covered up. And not once have we heard anything about it other than the post that they put out back in June. I've been in dialogue with this person, and it's pretty interesting what they told me. So the evidence that this person has not been mentioned not once in this case. It hasn't been mentioned by the Guardia Civil. It hasn't been mentioned by the Spanish media. It hasn't been mentioned by the English media. And it definitely hasn't been mentioned by Mark Williams Thomas. However, this person believes that what they had, and that's right, what they had was genuine, was 100% proof that something more happened. Something else happens that morning that we're not being told about, and that CCTV footage picked it up. But that's what I also wanted to mention. Why is there no CCTV footage proving that Jay was in Masca? Mark Williams Thomas never mentioned anything about CCTV footage proving Jay was there. No CCTV footage proving that Jay got into the car at Papagayo nightclub. See, at one point in the podcast, Mark actually says that Sugar Reef didn't have any CCTV footage inside the nightclub, which is pretty questionable. And I'm pretty sure it was mentioned that Mark was going to go back the next day to look at some form of CCTV, whether that was inside the nightclub or outside the nightclub. He never later gave us clarity on that. So we don't know if Mark Williams Thomas did follow up that CCTV footage on the strip. For whatever reason, Mark's never come back to tell us about what he may have saw on the CCTV. Did he see Jay on CCTV? Did he even go back and look at the CCTV? The CCTV is so important. So is the webcams in Masca. It's just so weird how no CCTV evidence has been used throughout this whole entire case. In fact, the only bit of video footage that has been used to confirm Jay was at the Airbnb is the video footage that Jay allegedly took. The video footage that I believe has been fabricated to make it look like Jay was at the Airbnb. In nearly every single missing persons case where there is access to CCTV, it is used. But in this case, no CCTV has been looked at whatsoever. Let's just put a pin in the CCTV for a minute, but it's pretty interesting that there hasn't been any CCTV to prove Jay was outside Papagayo nightclub with AYUB, getting into a car, getting out of a car, anything just to prove Jay was alive after the NRG festival, getting into AYUB's car, getting out of AYUB's car, walking along the strip, going into a shop, coming out of a shop, with Brad, without Brad, with Lucy, without Lucy. I mean, there must be something from that evening. Like I said, let's put a pin in that for a minute. We're going to move straight back into the podcast. Let's hear what AYUB had to say for himself.
Hello?
Hello, AYUB, it's Mark.
You don't know who it is?
You okay?
Well, not really, mate.
No, I know. You're probably a bit stressed about the whole
telly and that, because you released it.
I didn't release I didn't release your picture at all, or your name.
Lucy's got my Snapchat. We've got each other on social media. I've got Brad.
Okay, so at that point, it does seem like it has been edited. So after AYUB said that he wasn't happy with his picture being put out in the media, and Mark saying that he never done it, from there it stops, edited. We're missing out on a whole bit of conversation there because Mark has just taken a whole heap of what AYUB said out of that. We don't hear the build up towards what's being said now. So when AYUB says the conversation has been edited and cut up, at this point, I have to agree with him. It has been edited. Like Ayub said, Mark, why don't you release the full version so we can hear the whole conversation?
Lucy's got my Snapchat. We've got each other on social media. I've got Brad. We can, I can chat to the mum. Do you know what I mean, bro?
Wow. I can chat to the mum. So at that point, whose mum is he referring to? Jay's mum or Brad's mum? He says, I can chat to Brad, I can chat to the mum. Ayub's coming across extremely hostile at this moment in time. You can kind of hear it in his tone of voice. He's not comfortable with the conversation that he's having with Mark at this point. So he decided to turn extremely defensive. And at this point, he's kind of telling Mark that I know these guys. I know these guys. I'm not a stranger. I don't know where you guys think I'm a stranger. I'm not a stranger, bruv. I know Brandon. I know Brad. I know Lucy. I can contact them. I can contact the mum. Now, if that's Ayub's stance over the phone to Mark Williams Thomas, this is a private conversation, bearing in mind. Ayub's extremely confident, really adamant that he is friends with these guys. It doesn't make any sense why Lucy said there were two mystery men. That tells you all you need to know. That tells you that the two mystery men plot was a scam, was a cover-up. Like I've told you, especially since we've seen the footage of Ayub driving, it's Brandon that's in the front of the car. In that footage, it said one Somali kid. I'm going to sell this watch with one Somali kid. That footage had Brandon in the passenger side of the car. It later got changed. Now, clearly, it later got changed to protect the people that were in the car. But it was 100% Brandon because we've done the head comparisons. And I've looked at it over and over and over again. So at that point, Rocky was brought in to play a part. And this is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, Rocky's part that he played was minimal. He slept in the car all of the way to the Airbnb, got into the Airbnb and went straight to sleep. Rocky done. Rocky's story done. That is literally Rocky's part to play in this story. Rocky wasn't there whilst this was all going on. They're just making it look like Rocky was there whilst this was all going on.
My Snapchat, we've got each other on social media. I've got Brad. We can, I can chat to the mum. Do you know what I mean, bro? I don't need none of all of this.
No, but from my point of view,
I don't need none of all of this. So he's really panicky at this point, really nervous at this point. Bearing in mind, this is the first time he's talking to Mark Williams Thomas. This is the first time Ayub is actually talking to anyone that's official outside of Spain. That's if he actually made a witness statement. But if he did make a witness statement and everything was normal and hunky-dory, why would he come across this way? He had no reason to come across as sus as he's coming across in this audio. Why is he back up against the wall? Why is he coming across so defensive? The reason I'm pointing these things out is because I'm focused on Ayub's mentality, the thinking behind the words.
I've got journalists showing up at my family.
Yeah, but listen, I can...
been given out. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, let a guy come to my house because he said to me, mate, they've all left. And chatting to them, they said he wanted to carry on partying. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, he did, I think, didn't he?
Okay, look at that. Look at that. So chatting to them, they said Jay wanted to carry on partying. Even if Jay wanted to continue partying, based on the condition that he found himself in, it didn't make any sense for the friends to say, all right, Jay, cool, we're going home. You're not leaving him with people he knows. So at that point, it would have only made sense, especially for someone like Brad, to have encouraged him to go home, or stay with him until he's ready to go home. Bearing in mind, you are on holiday, so you wouldn't be thinking selfishly in that moment. If Jay wants to stay out, the crew's more likely to stay out. They're not going to just leave him. That just makes no sense. But we're being made to believe these guys just left him. And instead of deciding to go back to his hotel, he goes to this Airbnb, which is 45 minutes away with strangers that he doesn't even know. Why would Ayub have taken him back to the Airbnb if Ayub knew there was no party or they wasn't going back to drink or, you know, Rocky's finished? So I don't know. We're just going to be sleeping majority of the time, bro. Like there's no point in you coming back with us. Let me just drop you to your hotel. It's 8 minutes down the road. Like, where are you staying? See, these are things that I don't even think anyone asked Ayub. Like, did he know where Jay was staying? Because if everything was genuine, he would at least know that. I'm pretty sure Ayub would have asked Jay at some point, where are you staying? Where are you staying, bro? What hotel you at? See, it's funny how that's never been mentioned. It's just Jay was left by himself. He didn't say anything else other than my friends have left me and I want to come back to yours. Even when Ayub was explaining the story before, Ayub tried to say, oh, you know, mine's a bit far, bro, but you know what, you can have the sofa. It's like he assumed it straight away. He was trying to say it as if he was fogging Jay off, but he never gave Jay the chance to get fogged off, if you understand what I mean. He was just saying it as if he was trying to fog Jay off, but he never objected. He just basically offered Jay the sofa immediately without saying, oh, bro, mine's a bit far. You know what I'll do? I'll take you back to yours. Like, yours is only 8 minutes. What hotel are you staying at? See, they're normal things. When Ayub told you how it went, Ayub said, oh, you know mine, bro, mine's a bit far away, but don't worry, you can have the sofa. It's like you're trying to make it sound and look like you were fobbing Jay off, but you wasn't.
I mean, so I'm like, it's an unfortunate situation where I'm being nice and letting someone stay at mine, and now I'm public enemy number one.
I know, I get.
I'm being nice and letting someone stay at mine. Why would Jay want to stay at yours? Why would Jay want to stay at yours? Like, that's the angle that Ayub's coming from at this moment in time. Not an after party, not, oh yeah, we were going back to mine to chill. He was coming to stay at mine. Like, why is he staying at yours? He's got 3 friends plus a cousin and others in Tenerife that he can connect with and stay with them, as well as a hotel that his mum paid for, but he would rather come and stay with you. Why? Why did he want to stay with you? And Ayub again painted that exact picture as if it was that scenario, a sleepover. As soon as they walked in, I gave him a charger for his phone, I gave him a blanket, I gave him a towel. I mean, even think about that. If Jay knew that he needed a charger, why the hell would he go back to an Airbnb without his phone fully charged or close to dying, and then get there and not even charge it? Just leave. Why is Jay staying at the Airbnb? That makes no sense. There is no explanation other than his friends left him, but his hotel or his apartment was only 8 minutes down the road. So why did you not take him there? Why didn't you call his friends? Why didn't you call Brandon, your mate? You could have called Brandon, your mate, on the strip and said, Brandon, where are you? Your mate Jay's here. You need to take him home. Come and get him. I'm going to put him in a cab and send him back to his hotel. I'm just letting you know, mate. Like, there's so many things that you could have done at that point. The most important one is phoning his friends, contacting his friends, letting his friends know what's happening. You ain't just going to put someone in a car, drive them to the mountains without letting the friends know where Jay's going. And that's the reason why I don't believe it happened. The friends went to the mountains together. They all went there. And whatever happened to Jay happened after leaving NRG Festival and, of course, before getting into that car.
Are you, when he left?
Raping him. Mate, I ain't even raped a woman in my life. Why the fuck would I go and rape a geezer?
Listen,
he said that on the podcast as well, didn't he? He said that on the podcast. Why would he say that? Why would he say that again? Like, he's had time to think about that. And if I would have said that the first time round, I would have thought to myself, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think I'm ever going to say that again. But he actually said it again. He said it on a podcast to Cullen. Absolutely weird.
It is weird.
I don't do that,
and
mate.
there's so
the
much
media that fucking trying to look for me and they're the type of people that are involved in all of that, mate.
No, look, mate, if you're innocent and you haven't done anything wrong, there is no reason for you to be reacting the way you are reacting. This is extremely sus. And the things that he's saying at this point just don't make any sense. If you've already spoken to the Spanish police, you have nothing to worry about. They're the ones that made you irrelevant to the investigation. I think at this point, Ayub's feeling extremely defensive because he doesn't know what's going to happen next.
When Jay left that morning, were you asleep or did you see him leave?
Mate, he told me I'm getting on a bus to Los Cristianos. And I'm only telling you, bro, just...
Mate, he told me I'm getting on a bus to Los Cristianos. That is extremely key, very, very key to the story. Remember, this is the first time Ayub is talking to Mark Williams Thomas. This is one of the first times Ayub is telling the world or someone his side of the story. What does he straight away say? Mate, he told me he's getting a bus going to Los Cristianos. That right there correlates with what Ailia says. Ailia doesn't mention anything about any interactions with anyone at the Airbnb. She doesn't mention about knocking on the door, asking Ayub to move his car, all of the things that Ayub later on claimed. Remember, Ayub started saying this stuff weeks, even months later, after this conversation that he's had with Mark. And he told us this whole story about the buzzer going and him running down the stairs in his boxers and opening the door in his boxers. I'm thinking, what type of Don would run downstairs and open the door in his boxers whilst 2 other Dons are in the flat? However, Once he opened the door, Ailia was standing there with two men. One of them had a wheelbarrow. See, these two men have later been brought into the story, but they've never initially been spoken about. No journalist has spoken about them. Mark Williams Thomas doesn't even speak about them. Even he says that Ailia was the last person to see Jay alive, more or less. She even denies seeing him the second time, although in the inquest, her statement says she saw him the second time. I mean, who's being played here? Who's pulling the strings? What's going on when you think about the little things just like that? A statement. And these two new people being introduced. As I was saying here, he mentions the bus stop because that's so important for the story at that point. Why is it important for the story at that point? Because Ailia is going to say that I see a guy at the bus stop and then he walked the wrong way, taking him away from the Airbnb, heading towards the mountains. That's AYUB's plan. That's Ailia's plan. That's their narrative. That was the idea behind the plan. Bus stop, walking wrong way. Bus stop, walking wrong way. Everything else that AYUB said about his interactions with Ailia, he said weeks later. And Ailia can't even verify it. In fact, she doesn't verify it. Even makes things worse is when she speaks to Mark Williams Thomas, which I can only assume is weeks after Jay going missing, let's say up to 2 weeks maximum. She denies seeing Jay the second time 15 minutes later down the road. Why? Is that because she realized how serious this is? She eventually have a conversation with someone to let them know that she wasn't happy to go ahead. And that's the reason why they brought the two other witnesses forward, fabricated their statements. Bearing in mind, one of them is dead, so we can't even verify his statement. And one thing we can say in both of the new statements is that there's lies written in both of them. Absolute lies.
So yeah, go on, man. Yeah, tell me. I don't give a fuck where you put it on then. To be honest, I've had enough now. Okay, go on, tell me.
Look at this. Look at this. He's had enough. What have you had enough about? It doesn't make any sense. This is a missing person, and you're meant to be one of the last people to see him. Don't you want to help?
Where you put it on then, to be honest, I've had enough now. Okay, go on, tell me.
He's had enough now. And you see how desperate Mark sounds. Go on, tell me.
He said to me, pal, arm off me. This woman told me I can get a bus every 10 minutes. But I told him, you're mad. There's no bus that's coming here every 10 minutes. And
this woman, so this woman, not this woman and two men, just this woman. So that woman has to be Ailia. Now, Ailia isn't an independent witness for anyone that doesn't understand that, because she is the owner or part owner of the Airbnb. So she can't be an independent witness. It's another reason why I believe they try to bring in Juan Diaz, because he would fall under being an independent witness. He has nothing to do with the Airbnb. But again, at this point, he's only referring to the woman, and we can only assume that to be Ailia. And that tells us all we need to know. That tells us that Ailia is involved in the cover-up.
For a bit, and I'll drop you off later on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said to me, no, I've got to go to Las Cristianos. I need a scrap. I need to chip out. I'm like, all right, sound, mate. Like,
let's just hear that again, because the way he says that, you can tell AYUB is totally waffling. Why would Jay be saying these type of things if he's only been at the Airbnb for 40 minutes? And didn't you tell us that you stopped off to get kebabs before getting to the Airbnb? So at this point, why are you using the word scran? Why would Jay need to go and get scran?
I told him, you're mad. There's no bus that's coming here every 10 minutes. And chill out for a bit, and I'll drop you off later on. Do you know what I mean?
Chill out for a bit and I'll drop you off later on. Why would Jay go all the way to this Airbnb, ask for a charger, not use the charger? AYUB gives him a blanket and a towel to actually have a bath, like he had clothes to change into. All of that makes no sense. You tried to make it look like you was a perfect host. You were doing a perfect sleepover for someone that didn't need to be doing a sleepover because they had their own hotel. They had their own apartment. But we're being made to believe that the friends decided to leave Jay in an incapacitated state, according to DCI Higgins. He is adamant that he then wants to go to the Airbnb with AYUB. Every time I talk about this point of the story, the name that just springs to mind is Brad. Brad, the best friends, the best friend that wasn't there, the best friend that doesn't even have a good enough excuse as to why he wasn't even there. In fact, I don't even think Brad's given any excuse as to why he wasn't there. It's Ayub that's given the excuse for Brad by saying his mate stood up and asked for the key because he wanted to go home. See, Brad's never verbally said that himself. In the interview with Ailia, Brad said he'd just come out of a festival when having the call with Jay at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 or whatever time it was, but it was definitely the morning. So again, no clear explanation as to why they all split up from Jay and why Jay was left by himself. And why it only seems like Jay had one choice and one choice only, and that was to go to the Airbnb. Out of all of the options that could have been exercised, it was determined that the Airbnb was the destination for Jay.
Yeah. He said to me, no, I've got to go to Las Cristianos. I need a scrap. I need to chip out. I'm like,
no, I've got to go to Los Cristianos. He can't even say it right. And I think he's stuttering there purposely because his backup's against the wall. He's moving all defensive. He's trying to think on his feet. You can hear how fast he's trying to get his words out. Again, it sounds all panicky. Ayub's coming across hostile. Ayub is literally coming across like he is hiding something. You can hear it in his tone of voice. Is he hiding the fact that Jay stole something from the Airbnb and he doesn't want anyone to know that he's involved in slinging drugs? I mean, no, I don't think that's the case. And the reason why I don't think that's the case is because a part of the plan initially through Josh Forshaw was to make it look like Ayub was a drug dealer. Josh Forshaw said Jay and them lot were getting their cocaine through Ayub. He said the Somali guys. See, what's extremely key about this message is that it comes weeks after the Jay in the back of the car picture was created. So whoever writ that message would have already been in a loop about there being 2 Somali kids. And that's how you know this is a fabricated message, because he mentions the Somalians trying to play that role as if there were Somalians there when really and truly there was only one Somali kid. Yes, Rocky was in Tenerife, but he was just visiting. Remember, Brandon and Ayub were residing in Tenerife. It's their relationship and their operation. Rocky is just a cover guy for Brandon. And lucky for Ayub, Rocky was in Tenerife at the time. He wasn't with Ayub whilst this was all going on, but he played the part to cover for Ayub when Ayub needed him. And that's my opinion. Like I said to you guys before, if there was more than one Somali kid in the car when Jay first done the video saying that he's stolen the Rolex, he wouldn't have said this Somali kid. He wouldn't have said this Somali kid, because if he knows that one of the kids is Somali and there's 2 of them, he would have said 2 Somali kids. But the reason he didn't say these 2 Somali kids in the first footage is because it was only Ayub in the car initially, Brandon in the passenger, Lucy at the back with Jay's phone filming Ayub. She's put this Somali kid. It was then later changed by Ayub to then say 2 Somali kids, because he would have been the only one who knew that Rocky was in Tenerife.
Chip out. I'm like, alright, sound mate. There's no more I can do. That.
Did you see him? Did you see him walk off for you? Did you see him?
No. I seen him walk off maybe down the steps, but I shut the door and said, if you need me, this is my green door.
Okay.
Sweet. And you know what I mean?
Wow, that's extremely interesting. He says, nah, he didn't see him walk off. I might have seen him walk down the steps, but I closed my green door. See, Ayub's got variations of this part of the story, because Ayub said that he see Jay outside the Airbnb with his trainers on when he was moving the car. But why hasn't he mentioned anything about moving or reversing the car or Ophelia knocking on the door or anything like that to Mark Williams Thomas? Why didn't he mention that part of the story to Mark? Again, massive contradiction, massive red flag, because he's given us variations to this side of the story. But here, right here, the first ever time he speaks to private investigator Mark, literally a week to 2 weeks off the back of Jay going missing, and this is what Ayub has to say for himself. He only see Jay walking down the steps, which is the steps outside the Airbnb. So he's basically saying he didn't even see Jay at the bus stop. He didn't see what direction Jay went in, because he just closed his door. Do you guys remember what Ayub's response was when he got the phone call from Lucy at 9 o'clock to say Jay was missing? Ayub's response was extremely wild. A lot to say about that response. And it's very, very similar to how he has responded here.
That's about it, bro. And that's the only info you're getting out of me.
I get that.
They're getting
Agreed.
headache, mate.
Yeah, I get that. So listen, Jay was stood on your doorstep. He had like that throw over the top of him, which I think was from the bed or something. Is that right?
No, it's a blanket.
A blanket, yeah. Is that from inside the Airbnb?
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. And
Literally, yeah. You see how his tone of voice has changed? He went from being all up here to being all down here, like, because he knows it doesn't belong to the B&B. Ailia confirms to Mark Williams Thomas that she does not recognize that blanket whatsoever. By the sounds of it, she was extremely adamant that she doesn't recognize the blanket. It's so weird. She says that the same time she tells Mark that she never saw Jay the second time. Again, Ailia looked at Mark Williams Thomas as official from the UK, British, serious. And in her head, she thought this has gone too far and she didn't want to go as far as they've made her go with this. And to a degree, you can literally say they have violated Ailia.
he showed his mate, one of his mates, on Snapchat, a picture of 2 knives that he had in his waistband. 2 knives that he says, I've got these for my protection.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Mate,
Did you hear that? So Mark asked him about the 2 knives and describes the footage that would have been sent over to Josh Forshaw. AYUB's response is, yeah. If you listen to him again, he says, yeah, and then he laughs. Why would he do that? Now, I'm going to tell you now, the footage that he's describing is BS. It never happened. It's made up. And it's been made up by the likes of AYUB, which is the reason why when it was described to him, he agreed by saying yeah, as if he already knew about it, but then he also chuckled because his story had just been painted to him by Mark Williams Thomas. He knows that that message that was meant to be for Debbie is fake. See, it's that same message that throws him under the bus. It says that he is a drug dealer. It has a picture of him and Jay, or half of Jay's face. And it also includes a picture of Jay in the back of the car, which I have proven to you was taken by AYUB. So the fact that AYUB says yeah, which is then followed by a chuckle, is telling me that AYUB was literally laughing at his own story. So the fact that he's got this private investigator painting the story to him, painting the narrative to him about the 2 knives, it was just funny to him because he knows the true facts about that message. He was a part of fabricating that message.
I've got these for my protection.
yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
You hear the laugh, yeah. You literally have to question whether he's all right up there because it doesn't sound like it. But think about what AYUB has been doing online over the months, especially to the likes of myself, taking my pictures and doing all of this weird stuff with them. He seems to be playing these kind of online trolly games. It all seems to be a big joke to him. And that's another reason why I'm not surprised why he laughed right here, because that message, that fabricated message about the 2 knives, it's all a joke to him.
Mate, I was asleep upstairs. I don't know about it. This is the first I've heard of knives and all of this, mate.
You can tell based on that response, he's lying. Why would he say yeah if he doesn't know anything about it and then chuckle after saying yeah? And then go back to Mr. Defensive mode, start speaking all fast again. I don't know anything about it, and shut it all down.
Was there any arguments at your place?
Mate, like what?
No, but I just wonder.
Come to my house.
No, but I just wonder why.
Nay, like he's getting really frustrated with this conversation. He's extremely uncomfortable with the questions that are being asked. Why would you feel so uncomfortable? Why would you get so frustrated with these questions if this was just a genuine missing person? AYUB is clearly showing us in his tone of voice that he doesn't have time for this conversation. He doesn't care. I don't care. What are you phoning me for? Why are you asking me all these questions? Bro, I told you everything I want to tell you. I don't want to tell you anything more. That's the energy that he's giving right here. That's his attitude. It doesn't make any sense coming from a person who's meant to be a friend of this person. You know, just a minute ago, you said, oh, I can speak to Lucy, Brad, I can even speak to the mum, but Mark Williams Thomas is just asking a simple question just so we can understand how Jay was feeling when he left the Airbnb, or what could have potentially happened at the Airbnb. You get frustrated. Like, was there any arguments at your place, at the Airbnb? Doesn't make any sense how AYUB would respond with, I wouldn't have let him come to my house. No, he's asking, did this happen whilst you were at your house? And firstly, we didn't even know it was your house. Your house. So the Airbnb is your house. This is like the 5th time, 6th time AYUB has referred to that B&B as his gaff, his yard, his house.
That he needed to have 2 knives.
Look, Mark, I don't know if you say you're a detective, but you know that affects the drugs, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't make anyone think anything in their head, do you know what I mean? So if the only way I can put that to that is that, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, so he's also trying to make it look like Jay was just waved out of his face and he was making stuff up on drugs, and therefore he was making stuff up. And that's to also try and justify why Jay would have put up a video that he would claim he doesn't know anything about, but a video of him driving saying he had stole a watch. And we hear now, not only from AYUB's mouth, but we've heard it indirectly from Lucy. Jay was on a mission, and here we have AYUB saying, look, he was out of his face on drugs, and the decisions he made were based off the drugs that he was taking, and I don't know anything about them. See, what I also find weird at this point is the way AYUB is painting out Jay to be. If Jay was a wreck, if Jay was moving some type of way, why would you invite him back to your Airbnb? Why would you not encourage him to go home? Why would you allow him to get into your car? Even if he got into your car and you can see this guy is moving a bit dodgy. I mean, he would have been moving dodgier when he was getting into your car than he was by the time he got to the Airbnb. So at that point, I don't understand why an alternative wasn't taken, why a different option wasn't exercised other than taking this wreck, this guy that's making stuff up, this guy that is losing his brain, this guy that is just waved so far out of his face, I don't even know where he is, and he's sitting behind me in a car. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy all the way back to my Airbnb. A guy that I don't even know. I just know his mate. When you think about it like that, the way he says that is like you are the drug dealer and Jay's your customer, and you only know Jay through Brandon because Brandon introduced Jay to you because Jay was looking for some type of drugs. I mean, that makes sense. There could be a reason as to why AYUB just doesn't give a shit right now. He's thinking, why should I care? This guy was a customer. He come to me, he picked up some cocaine, and he cut out. I don't give a shit about him. Clearly, that is not what this is it? Something more sinister took place, and that's the reason for why AYUB is reacting the way he is reacting. It's clear as day.
Fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are sleeping upstairs, mate. Like, this.
Hold on. And that's what a lot of people wanted me to hear. Duncan Smith mentioned this in his video that he done. There were people sleeping upstairs, mate. Wow. Who was sleeping upstairs? Because according to what you've said, you, Jay, and Rocky were the only ones there. Jay staying downstairs, Rocky was staying downstairs, you were the only one upstairs. So what people were upstairs? I mean, that's the same slip up as when he was on that live stream and he said, Jay's mate, my mate. There's been so many slip-ups over the months. It's unreal. But the biggest red flag here, ladies and gentlemen, is that Mark Williams Thomas doesn't even pick up on what AYUB is saying. People upstairs.
All of this narrative needs to fucking get. Do you know what I mean? It's the narrative that people know what they're doing, and the media and all of this, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. Do you know what I mean? How are you going to put on the bottom? This guy's been cleared. He's not relevant to anyone's investigation. But my Airbnb photo.
Who was the person you were with?
No, that's a pile of mine. I'm not going to involve him. Do you know what I mean? He was sleeping throughout the whole car.
So did he?
Went straight to bed as soon as we landed, mate.
So when you got back to the home,
he's making sure that Rocky is covered. That's all Rocky's role was. Exactly what he just told Mark there. That's always what he has said. So any commotion that was going on downstairs when the buzzer went off and he come running down in his boxers and Jay said to him, "Oh, what's that awful sound?" referring to the buzzer, and everything else that AYUB told us about what was happening downstairs whilst he was upstairs never involved Rocky. For all AYUB knew, Rocky could have been the person that was going in and out the front door. If you heard noise coming from downstairs, why the hell would you think it's only Jay making the noise when Rocky is also downstairs? That's how you know AYUB was lying. He was bullshitting. This story that AYUB's telling us about inside the Airbnb never happened. Asking for the charger, giving him the blanket, giving him the towel, it never happened.
When you got back to the rental, was it just you talking to Jay and the other bloke went to bed?
Mate, I've got videos, Mark. I've got videos of me and Jay laughing at my mate while he's sleeping in the car, bro. I've got Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off, mate. I've gone to sleep. I don't need.
Oh, wow. Oh, you have got pictures of Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off because you were the person that took the picture of Jay in the back of the car. And this is the proof. This is the proof. Thank you for actually telling us, AYUB, that you've got pictures of Jay smiling his face off in the back of the car. See, it's so funny how Mark answered a very simple question. The other person that was at the Airbnb with you guys, did he speak with Jay as well, more or less? First thing AYUB does is give Mark his evidence. He doesn't answer the question. He just more or less gives Mark his evidence. If this was blackjack right now, that's AYUB putting his blackjack on the table. Pick up 5. He literally went straight into, I've got a video of Rocky sleeping in a car with me and Jay laughing at him, and I've got pictures of Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off. There's the pictures of Jay smiling his face off. You said pictures, plural, meaning you have more than one picture. Can we see them? Why jump to the video of Rocky instantly? You jumped to that because you knew you had evidence to back up Jay being at the Airbnb. So you went straight to that, straight away. Instead of just answering the question and saying, yeah, of course Rocky would have been chatting to Jay whilst Jay was downstairs. How have you, Jay and Rocky, gone to this Airbnb together? You've left them both downstairs and they never had no interactions. At the moment Mark Williams Thomas asked that question, AYUB dived straight into the evidence that he planted. Do you see that, ladies and gentlemen? Dive straight into the evidence that he planted. Oh, I've got videos of Rocky sleeping in the car with me and Jay laughing as we're getting out. Okay, but we can't see Jay, can we? We don't see Jay, do we? And then he says he's got pictures of Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off. Well, the only picture of Jay in the back of the car we have is the one that allegedly Jay took of himself. But as I've already told you guys, it wasn't Jay that took that picture. It was AYUB. And if you guys missed it, here it is again. So thank you ever so much for confirming that for us, AYUB. Unless you've got more pictures that you would like to show us. More pictures of Jay in the back of the car. How many pictures were you trying to take until you got the right one?
Videos of me and Jay laughing at my mate while he's sleeping in the car, bro. I've got Jay in the back of the car smiling his face off, mate. I've gone to sleep. I don't need to say anymore, mate. I'm done.
I don't need to say any more, mate. Again, that's just off the back of a question asking, did the other person, Rocky, have any type of communication with Jay whilst at the Airbnb? And look how defensive he got and instantly put his evidence, his fabricated evidence, on the table instantly because it was planted, cover up, clear as day.
Literally don't. And that's all you're getting from me. And that's just out of respect for the family.
That's all you're getting from me, and that's just out of respect for the family. And what did you give us, AYUB? Oh, yeah. You actually confirmed it was you that took the picture of Jay in the back of the car. Thank you ever so much, my guy. All right, let's leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. I need to know exactly what you guys are thinking. So make sure you leave all of your thoughts in your comments in the comment section down below. Make sure you hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if we are newly watching. Turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on future videos. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.